Before the white man's roads cut through the forests, the Igbo people of Umaja lived under the shadow of a mystery. Their village was blessed with fertile land, swift rivers, and palm trees that bent low with ripe fruit. Yet above all, the heart of the village was its sacred drums, three giant instruments known as Ogena Ukwu, Ekwe Ocha, and Igba Anta. They were not ordinary drums. They were carved from the trunk of a tree that had fallen during a thunderstorm, and the village elders said the tree had been struck by Amadioha himself. When beaten, the drums did not only call people to meetings or festivals, their sound carried beyond the hills, and it was said that even the spirits of the ancestors danced when the drums sang. But there was one rule: the drums must never be played in anger, and never at night unless the gods demanded it. In the village were three inseparable friends: Obika, a brave but stubborn boy; Chisholm, the clever girl with a quick tongue; and Nam, quiet and thoughtful, always watching, always listening. The three loved the drums. Every festival, they would sneak to the shrine and press their ears to the wooden surface, pretending to feel the heartbeat of the gods. One evening, after wrestling matches in the village square, Obika said, "When I grow strong, I will play the Ojin Ukwu, and the earth will tremble." Chisholm laughed, hands on her waist. "Your hands are too rough. If you touch the drum, it will crack." Nam only smiled, but in his heart he wondered, what would happen if children touched the sacred drums? That year, drought struck the land. The yam leaves drooped, the streams shrank, and the elders worried. They said perhaps the gods were angry. Sacrifices were made, prayers chanted, but the skies remained closed. One night, as the moon hid behind clouds, the children crept into the shrine. The air was heavy, the kind that made one's chest tighten. The drums stood silent, waiting. Obika whispered, "Maybe if we play the drums, the gods will hear us. Maybe rain will come." Chisholm hesitated. "They said we must never beat them in anger or at night. Do you want the wrath of the gods?" But Nam, whose heart always leaned toward mysteries, placed his palm softly on the Igbanta. It hummed under his touch like a sleeping beast stirred. Obika could not resist. He lifted the stick lying beside the Ekweocha and struck once. Boom! The sound did not echo like an ordinary drum. It rolled into the forest, into the hills, into the sky. The earth shivered. The other two children gasped, but it was too late. The night exploded with voices. The drums answered themselves, though no one struck them. The Ogin Ukwu thundered like a storm. The Ekwe Ocha wailed like a grieving woman, and the Igba Nta beat like 1,000 warriors marching. From the darkness rose Ajani, the spirit guardian of the drums. His body was like smoke and iron, his eyes glowing red as fire. "Who dares wake me?" his voice thundered. The children fell to the ground, trembling. Obika tried to speak, but his tongue clung to his mouth. Chisholm cried silently. Nam, with his calm heart, managed to whisper, "It is us, children of Umuaja. Forgive us. We wanted rain for our people." The spirit stared at them. "Rain is not called by stolen hands. The drums are bridges between the worlds. You have broken the law." The ground split and wind roared. But then Ajani's fiery gaze softened. "Yet you are only children. Perhaps this is not punishment, but destiny." The spirit commanded them, "If you wish to save your village from drought, you must journey to the great mountain of Ahum, where the sky is chained. There you must free the cloud bird, for only it can release the rains." The children were terrified, but they nodded. And so their journey began. They walked through thick forests where leopards watched with glowing eyes. They crossed rivers where crocodiles stirred beneath the water. At night, they huddled together, telling stories to keep their courage alive. Chisholm's wit saved them when trickster spirits tried to lure them with sweet fruits. Obika's strength cleared paths through tangled forests. Nam's wisdom guided them, for he listened to the whispers of the wind. At last they reached the great mountain, its peak lost in clouds. But guarding the entrance to the cave was a beast, half man, half serpent, with scales glistening like bronze. The beast hissed, "Who dares come here?" Obika stepped forward, fists clenched. But the beast's laughter shook the ground. It would crush him easily. Then Chisholm stepped forward with cunning. She bowed low and said, "Great one, we bring a message from Ajani. If the cloudbird is not freed, Even you will have no streams to drink from. Will you let the land die? The beast paused, thinking. Nam then whispered a prayer to the ancestors, and the wind rose, carrying their plea into the cave. The beast finally moved aside, hissing, "Enter! But if you lie, the mountain will swallow you." Inside, they found the cloud bird, chained by thunderbolts. It was vast, with feathers shimmering like rainbows and eyes like lightning. The children worked together. Obika struck the chains with all his might. Chisholm sang songs of courage to weaken the bonds. And Namdi poured libations of river water they had carried in a gourd. With a final crack, the chains broke. The cloud bird spread its wings and rose into the sky. Thunder rumbled, and at last rain began to fall, gentle, then heavy, soaking the thirsty earth. When the children returned, drenched and triumphant, the elders listened in awe to their tale. The rains continued for days, filling rivers and reviving crops. The people danced, praising the gods. The drums once feared were no longer seen as curses, but as sacred guides. From that day, only the three children, Obika, Chisholm, and Nam, were allowed to strike them, but only during great festivals of renewal. The spirit Ajani was never seen again. But on moonlit nights when the drums were struck, the children swore they could see his shadow dancing in the smoke of the fires. And so, the legend lived. The drums of Ajani, the children who awakened them, and the rain that saved Umuaja. With courage, nothing is impossible. Surround yourself with people with courageous mind, and the sky will have no limit to what you and them can accomplish. This is why the Igbos say, with courage and courageous minds around you, there are no limits to what you can achieve.